Alright guys, this is part 2 of 2 in the 1.4c series, and we're trying to find out how to figure out how to solve a right triangle. Alright, so we are supposed to solve this right triangle, and when it means solve, it's asking us to find 3 sides and the 3 angles. So the measurements of all 3 sides, 1, 2, 3, and the measurements of all 3 angles, 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So we know that with the sides we have our hypotenuse, which is 40. But do we actually have measurements for the other 2 sides of the triangle? No. Good work. Okay, so we have to figure out what those are. So then inside the triangle are our angles. So we know that one of the degrees, or one of the angles, measurements 23 degrees. And this box here, you have to know by now that this is a right angle, so its measurement is 90 degrees. So we have 2 of the 3 angles given so far, and all the angles, all the interior angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees, so we can easily figure out what this third angle is. So if we take 180, subtract 23, and subtract 90 from it, we get our third missing angle, which is, or our third angle, which is 67 degrees. So the angle measurements are all checked off, we're good to go. However, we need to figure out what the 2 remaining sides are for this right triangle. Okay, so then using trigonometry, we find our reference angle, so you pick either 23 and 67. I think I'm going to go with the 23. And we have to figure out what the length of BC is and the length of AC is. So pick one of them. Since we have 2 going on that we have to find, we have to use the hypotenuse in our ratio. So pick one of the sides. So we have so, ka, to, wa. Okay, and let's find the opposite side because I just picked it. So from the reference angle 23, we need to have the opposite over hypotenuse. So we're going to use sine of 23 equals x. So that's the opposite over hypotenuse, which is 40. And to get x all by itself, since it's being divided by 40, we're going to multiply both sides by 40 over 1. Simplify further, x equals 40 times sine of 23. You get 15.6 equals x. So then our opposite side, BC, is 15.6. So we wrote that on our side list. So we have 3 angles, 2 sides, 1 more to go. Now, since we have 2 sides of our triangle, right triangle, already established, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out what that third side is. So I'm going to say 40 squared, which is our hypotenuse, so that's across from the right angle. So in our Pythagorean theorem, our hypotenuse squared is equal to our legs squared and added together. So we have, well, AC is going to be represented by x, so this x isn't the opposite side, it's this side. So if I simplify 40 squared, we get 1600 equals 243.36 plus x squared. We're going to zero out the 243.66 by 36 by subtracting both sides. We get 1356.64 equals x squared. And now to unsquare this square, we have to take the square root of both sides, and we get 36.8 to be our third remaining side. Once you have all 3 sides and all 3 angles, then you've successfully solved the right triangle. Alright guys, at any point, make sure that you ask questions or write that down in your notes. There are going to be situations where we don't have 2 of the angles, or no, we don't have, let's say, different information. Let's say we don't have 2 angles in one side again, or there can be different variations of this type of problem. Just making sure that when you solve a right triangle, you figure out what all 3 sides are and what all 3 angles are.